Hey y'all, it is February the 7th, 2020. Y'all hold on 1 second. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Alright, we're live on the internet. It's kind of a spontaneous thing. I was actually doing a little bit of, I don't know, say research or just preparation for a live stream I'm gonna have tonight. Alright, I plan to have one. And actually, we've been going all willy-nilly. I'm getting stuff situated over here on this end, but we've been going all willy-nilly these past few broadcasts, and we've had a lot of fun, I think, but not as productive as I would like, as far as just speaking on and addressing and bringing to light all the different things that have been coming to my awareness recently. All right, but I have some time to get organized and really think it out. I mean, not to be formal or anything, but just to kind of like have get down to the real nitty gritty, if you know what I mean. All right now, I'm just testing out some things. Right, it's in the middle of the day. I don't imagine, or actually, it's like late morning, so I don't imagine, that anybody's gonna pop in here. People got to go to work. Hopefully you got a job. All right. Typically, I notice, if I throw on the camera and, saying I don't have my hair comb, but I notice that I can't do the camera, right, on the live streams because it gets buffered. It gets all buffering. All right, and I don't know exactly what spurs that on, if that's going to be a consistent thing. That's why I haven't really been doing it on YouTube, and a lot of people already know that, but either way, most of the time, it's just us talking. All right, and sometimes there'll be visuals. We're gonna have some visuals right now, because we're gonna run through just a whole mess of screenshots, and basically, I want to do it rapid fire, which is something that I don't really do during the broadcast, and that'll be on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays thus far. We might, I don't know if we'll increase some, but sometimes, I get the notion to do it daily, but the daily thing that is a tough racket. All right, so I don't know. Thinking about it. All right. All right. And I don't know, I guess from the playback and stuff, you never know. Sometimes my phone or YouTube or whoever runs the internet, they'll close it. Hold on. Come on now. Close that up, because when I when I have my face on there, like, it won't be about a minute, and they'll say, "Oh, your network status is poor. You're a poor person. You don't pay no money, and we're not gonna give you access." And that's kind of how the internet works, right? So that's why I've been doing this and stuff, and people appreciate it because pretty much it's just us talking. And sometimes there's visuals, but typically it's like, dude, why are you even looking at the screen and stuff? You want to look at my screen? It's not really that eventful. Except when, of course, certain times when we go on to screenshots, which definitely we're going to do tonight. But in preparation, I have so many, I don't know if you say screenshots, but I say them frantically and drastically and randomly. And, I say so many that, I'm not going to talk about all these things, not during a broadcast, because I don't really do it all rapid fire like that. I have to take time to break it down to show you just how frustrated I am with whatever it is we're looking at. Like right now, if you're looking at the screen, for example, that's definitely going to make the broadcast. We're going to talk about that tonight, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about this fella. But that's suffice it to say, I think I'm going to see if I can situate a rabbit hole for us to dive down. As far as Instagram, it's I don't know. I'm not going to get into it, but a small fraction of it is perverted beyond belief, right? And to the point of criminality. Sometimes things just make you wonder, like this. And we're going to talk about it later on tonight, so we're not going to worry with it too much right now. But I mean, if you look at it, maybe like a decade ago, that would be the movie poster for a horror film. But now it's just whatever. And stuff like certain stuff, and I don't even want to talk about it. Hey, also, don't worry about Leo Zagami. I think I'm going to crop him out. He just so happened to be right there. Leo Zagami had nothing to do with this, obviously. It's kind of an old story, and I don't know how much we're going to talk about it, but let's just say extreme wild things happen on Earth. Here is an old story. It's kind of older because I saved it a while back. But it's classic, you know what I'm saying? What do they say? Epic? It's epic. And it's worth just looking at and giggling like little girls. And this sort of stuff, of course, like I've mentioned this before, that might very well be on the broadcast just because, like, for example, we'll probably talk about it. Look at this guy. It's unfortunate. And I want to point out, obviously, it's a trend, and so many people pointed it out already, but I would like to reiterate that, this guy, he's not proven guilty of anything, right? Of anything. He's been accused of this, right? And that's bad. I think everybody agree around here that that is not a good thing. That's not a good look. All right, but at the same time, he might very well have not even done that. And who's to say? I'm not sure. I want to know the situation, but the thing is, ultimately, like I said before, it's none of our business, right? This guy's face should be blacked out. You shouldn't be putting him on blast in public. Oh yeah, I'm putting it on blast, but not a lot of people even see my stuff right now, right? So obviously, I mean, if you're on a what is this from? Some sort of San Antonio local news. I forget which one. But you're putting him all the way on blast. I mean, you're putting his face, like you can see his face all detailed. Like, I'm not putting him on blast, right? As of right now, I might get a couple dozen, 30, 40 views or something. Don't you worry about me. But the local news is putting him on blast, and he's not been found guilty yet, right? And I don't think that's right. And I do want to get to the bottom of every sort of allegation, and I want justice to come from it. So that's really honestly what I want. But the thing is, this is terrible. What they're doing is terrible and criminal and meant to destroy people, even if they might even be innocent, right? So Tucker Carlson's not our best friend. That's just funny. It's weird. I don't know how much we're going to talk about that, but honestly, I was kind of devastated by the news. There's some people, I don't know, they get paid to write these things. People are finding one final image of deceased loved one. It's not very important. I might delete it, all right? We might not have it on the broadcast. In fact, I think I will delete it. But before I delete it, I wanted to say, there was a Denzel Washington movie a long time ago, and I forget what it's called, right? But they're, like they could have, they had surveillance on everything basically, and they could like see into the future, some weird stuff, or they could see into the past, or some weird stuff, and they were solving crimes and stuff. It's kind of like this, right? It reminds me of this a little bit. It's just to say that inevitably, if they don't already have it, they really do want the technology to videotape everything that's physically visible in the outside world, and just have it on recording. And if you ever get the notion that somebody did something, well, you just rewind it and pinpoint it and find you guilty. All right, that's exactly what they're gonna do with that. But oh yeah, I said I'm gonna delete it. See, we've got a lot of things to delete. That's the thing about it, because we can't just talk about everything tonight. All right, and that's the whole point of what I'm doing. If I wasn't doing this online, live streaming it, and recording it for your documentation, I would just be doing this anyways. All right, I would just be doing this anyways, but I wouldn't be talking to myself. That's the thing. I would probably be doing this whole process a little bit faster. You understand? But I wanted to get you acquainted with what the heck it is I'm doing right here. And this is how easily you can set up your own news broadcast if you ever thought about it. Maybe you already thought about this. But just gather screenshots, filter through some. And before you know it, you'll have a few dozen things that you could just talk about at whim. And they'll be wild and crazy because it's the end of days and stuff. And I'm not kidding about that. All right, so study vitamin supplements may harm breast cancer treatment. That's kind of done. It's like weird, silly stuff sometimes. All right, pretty much probably breast cancer treatment is harmful to you, and vitamins will exacerbate that. That's what they mean. And that's what that means, right? That's how that happens. A Texas school district lost 2.3 million. Like, I mean, I don't know. We probably want to look. We got to talk about the cream of the crop tonight. So, as much as all this stuff is very interesting, and would have a little kind of a rabbit hole to dive down, we're not going to be able to do it. We're going to delete most of these. In fact, now that I got you acquainted with this, I think we're going to take it into super fast mode or something. Just knock some of these out because after a while, you start to get a notion, especially if you know what kind of style of news, whatever that you want to go into, the kind of niche that you like. If you know certain people like it when you talk about this thing or that thing, well, it's going to be real quick, fast, and you don't want to spend all day on it, obviously. And you're going to get it down to a science, and I like to think that I had that. All right, so with that being said, we're going to go a little bit rapid fire. I'm not going to really talk about all this sort of stuff, but you can imagine what I would say if we were about to talk about it, and then I'll delete it unless it's really, really juicy, and then we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it tonight, all right? Friday night. It's going to be exciting. I'm already excited. The Texas school district lost 2.3 million in a phishing email scam. You better watch out because that stuff is for real, and they'll really get you, all right? And I mean it. All right, it was 2020, all right? Okay, family, please, for a safe return. I don't know if this lady returned. Hopefully she did. All right? We're going to have to look into that, but I only took a screenshot of this, and I don't know what her name is. I might get to the bottom of it, but like I said, it's a lot of cases to run through tonight. We have a lot of cases to follow up on. I mean a lot, all right, if we're being responsible. How come my camera keeps moving? Hold on one second, you guys. Camera keeps wiggling around and I can't read it so good with a wiggly camera. Alright, now we're going to go rapid fire. How San Antonio police are rethinking mental health. I actually met those guys. Their names was Joe and Ernie. Alright, they're some good guys. Alright, but they're going to get deleted. Sorry about that. San Antonio is this, dang it, what does it say? 16th most deadly U.S. city for bicyclists. That's interesting to note because I'm on bicycles. Oh well. Delete that. All right. InfoWars confronts DNC chair Anderson Cooper over video of Bernie staffer promoting gulags. Of course he does, right? Nazis, I tell you. San Antonio homeless encampment returns 2 months after it was cleaned up. We might talk about that tonight, actually. We might keep that just because we might turn into Austin or something like that. San Francisco with poop all over the streets. Andrew Yang won last night's primary. Now, this was a while back, so it wasn't last night. Without attending it. Isn't it interesting that the winner of y'all's stupid debates and primary debates are the people who do not attend, right? And I mean it. Since Donald Trump to Andrew Yang, whoever doesn't show up is the winner. That's funny. Delete it. All right. Man requested sword fight with ex-wife and lawyer to settle legal dispute. That's funny. I really like it, but we're going to delete it. All right. Dang it. I almost wish that I could keep it, but I can't. And I wish I could make this image bigger. The ocean is warming at the rate of 5 atom bombs per second. Scientists warn because certain scientists have gone all loop-de-loop, right? Really dumb. Gonna delete it. Bricks alive. Scientists create living concrete. I don't know what that is, but we're deleting it. That's crazy. A Maine pepper mill's unexpected savior. China. I think you'll find over the earth, and we might keep that. But over the earth, China is going to be a lot of people's unexpected saviors, believe it or not. All right, and I'm not talking about most Chinese people. All right, Lori Loughlin, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even going to read the rest, so delete that. Okay. A man in his 70s with underlying medical conditions died as a result of complications, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. It probably has something to do with Corona. Gang forced man to eat his own testicle and has... Ah, man, dude, some things I totally forget about. Believe it or not, totally forgot about that. That's what's so wild. Things like this, just know that I have so many things in my brain running around, these news items, that something like this, I'll forget about. I'll totally forget about. All right? That's wild. But you got these people. Oh, these are the gang of people who allegedly made this guy do that. All right? Ghouls and goblins and stuff, man, obviously. real life ghosts and goblins, but that's alleged. I'm not sure what happened. Man rotted from the inside out after eating gecko. Oh yeah, that was interesting. You just go ahead and keep reading. But the thing is, that's wild. Dang it, we're gonna have to keep that on it. I think we're gonna keep that. I would want to. I don't want to keep that. All right, you see what that is? Exposing kids to drag is an abuse. We might as well just keep that. We'll talk about that for a little bit. There's Aaron Carter. Speaking of abuse, and that's terrible. All right, we're not happy about that, but we're gonna delete it. Oh shoot! Oh shoot! What? What? Okay, all right. I don't know what that was. All right, that was nothing. Don't look back at that. I don't know what that was. All right. Supplements may help burn a. I don't know what the heck. I don't know why I even did this. Smells like white male privilege. I don't know who this. Okay, so it's a dumb broad. Casey Musgraves. I don't know. She plays country guitar, radio station, not for playing women, back to back. What? She calls out a country radio. It's so stupid, all right? It is beyond stupid, all right? And we could spend all day talking about it, but we'll talk about it later. Anyways, deleted. Ghislaine Maxwell, yeah, we'll talk about that. For sure, we're going to talk about that. Hispanic Miami police captain sparks community backlash after claiming he is black. We'll talk about that just for a second. I don't know what that is. San Antonio's, oh, that was just me checking out the weather. All right, Miami PD suspends white officer who begins, oh yeah. All right, rise in far-right visits to former Nazi concentration camp. I don't even believe it. I don't think you believe it. I just want to make sure I don't have like all sort of incriminating stuff in here in the screenshots. I didn't even think about it early. I don't want to dox anybody, all right? But I think that we were all good. I think we're all good, all right? As you can see, we're gonna run through a few of them, all just rapid fire, all right? If you can even stand it, just real quick. I'm gonna start off this lady's crying face. Massachusetts serial pooper arrested for police to catch her defecating in parking lots. That's the reports. She looks like a fake person. I don't know who's here right now, but right now we're going rapid fire, and I've explained it in the beginning of the video, but right now we're going rapid fire through screenshots, and we're deleting most of them for the broadcast tonight, and we're keeping some of them. We're gonna keep that one. All right. This is a whole bunch of words. I forgot why I kept that one. So we're going to get rid of that one. Delete that one. And show me out in the comments or whatever. Let me know if you got something on your mind or something, and we'll talk about it real quick. But in the meantime, rapid fire. Here's some news. In a lawless stretch of Mexico, child soldiers as young as 6 are being drafted to fight crime. All right. And that might have been a publicity stunt. I actually read some of the article. They're not sure exactly. But at the end of the day, yes, child soldiers is always going to come to child soldiers every time, all right? Believe it or not. Let's see. We got these two guys' faces. These two guys' faces. I don't know why I took pictures of that. All right. Oh, you know what? I think that young man to the right, he's Nick Sandman, right? He was CNN, then sued him, and then he got super rich. So shout out to that guy. And he's pro babies, all right? And, you know, CNN didn't really appreciate that, but it's unfortunate. All right? Indian man killed by his own rooster on the way to the cockfight. And I just assumed they meant American Indian, but they didn't. They meant actual Indian from India. And they have cockfights over there, and I wasn't aware. But he died, all right? So be careful about that. Okay, Dear Abby, controlling son-in-law limits woman's relationship with her daughter. Dear Abby is tripping, all right? We're gonna delete it, but we talk about that sort of stuff sometimes. She's a dumb lady. On this day in history, Parkland shooting, blah, blah, blah. We're definitely going to talk about Parkland, that's for sure. High demand CNC operator positions with not enough in supply. That's right. So, you know, some of these career fields, you know, they got high demand, you know. They don't have enough people, basically, like how Donald Trump says. You might want to get with it, get a trade. San Antonio man reportedly tried to hide his weed. Oh, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and had trouble operating this stuff. Gonna go ahead and delete that because that's not important. All right, we're not gonna talk about that. We don't have that much time here tonight on the broadcast. All right, so we gotta get it to the cream of the crop. All right, the real nitty gritty, and of course we're gonna keep this one. We are definitely gonna talk about this one, but just very briefly, I'm sure. I bet you it's not too many details. But we're definitely going to talk about that. Roughest KFC, the roughest one installs fence between counter and customers for employee safety. All right, obviously it's going to come to that, but we got to delete that. We're not going to talk about that. That would just take too much time. You got this guy, we already talked about him. Wolfgang Halbig, all right, we already talked about him. And that's the kind of picture that they would love to put on everybody and anybody, to include their mamas. All right, they like to incriminate people, so they get the worst picture of you, obviously. But we're gonna have to delete that. We already talked about that. All right. Deal of the day, Southside, got a movie theater. Man, one of these days I want to tell y'all about Big Red and Barbacoa. Just because it's wild. It's like a mystical combination. I know you probably never heard of these things, but it'll give like, as far as, for example, coronavirus that's going to kill a certain amount of people, and they're debating on how much people. All right, could be not so much, could be a whole bunch. Obviously, you've heard them. Barbacoa and Big Red. Oh man, that's killed so many Mexicans. As far as diabetes, all right, for sure. That's like the main culprit. If you never heard of these guys, they have, I swear they have festivals. We're not going to talk about it too much right here. In fact, I'm going to delete it. Don't want to talk about it during the broadcast, but um, they have festivals about it. They have restaurants dedicated to it. They got it to where you can order it in movie theaters now. That's right, barbacoa tacos and Big Red. For some reason, that combination. Pennsylvania, and it'll give you diabetes. Pennsylvania man chokes girlfriend after getting upset while watching Trump impeachment. So you know what it is, all right? You already heard what it is. Thing is, of course, I have personal experience, as you probably do as well. People wilding out and choking their girlfriends over this. Donald Trump, they hate his guts, right? Start choking their girlfriends. Man arrested for smoking marijuana. I know you heard about this already anyways. So there's a picture of that man, and he looks so satisfied with himself, right? But we're going to have to delete it. And I'll keep an eye on the comments, but if you're out there and stuff and you want to have me, I don't know, do what I do as far as cover a story or maybe just roast somebody, you know what I'm saying, bully them on the internet, I'll do that. San Francisco official in charge of cleaning up city's filthy streets is arrested. I don't know for what. I don't know for what, but hopefully he's cleaning that poop up off the streets. All right. Meanwhile, whatever other crimes he's doing, I don't think they should worry about it so long as they get the poop up off the streets. We're going to delete that. Man, fat and disgusting women run naked through the streets for no reason. I think this is international news. All right. And this is all over the world. People don't like that. All right. There's only certain parts, like the country of Mauritania, where you can do that and people are gonna like it, not gonna like it. Oh, that was just some kind of local stuff I was looking at. I don't even know what that. I don't know what this is either. All right, all this stuff. Oh, this is about starting a business. This is just dumb stuff because I am starting a business, but don't you worry about it. Suspected drug kingpin extradited to Midland from Mexico. The thing is, I thought that was cool because I used to hang around that area and stuff. There's a lot of drugs going around in that area, right? Probably from Mexico. Former Bexar County Precinct 2 constable arrested. We'll keep that one. That's going to be an evolving case that we're going to look at. And nobody's ever heard of it. Most of the people in San Antonio haven't heard of it, but it sounds pretty scandalous. In fact, this lady sounds pretty scandalous. And she was just on the broadcast with Greg Brockhouse, and you never heard of it, but it was interesting. I don't know if she's guilty, but she's being alleged of some crazy, funny stuff, all right? That's a pain reliever from Shockley. Don't you worry about that. Donor helps Luna with cost of treatment in Russia, and that's a very interesting thing, this little baby. Some people love babies. I love babies. This lady probably loves her baby, and the baby was born with no skin on his face, right? And if I remember correctly, this baby, I guess, would probably be from somewhere out of South Florida, born without skin on his face. Got a donor. They're getting plastic surgery ready. And it says donor helps Luna with cost of treatment in Russia because they got some Russian experimental treatment that they want to do. Maybe can put the skin back on her face. You know what I'm saying? All lives matter, and some people will be like, "Oh, you don't have skin on your face. You can't. You're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be able to be a baby and be born and stuff." And it's like, nah. I think we should still just try and maybe give this baby a face. San Antonio megachurch pastor. We talked about that. That was his brother, and he's only been alleged to have done so. Even though I've heard that he's confessed, I still want it to come to fruition whether or not, like, what's the verdict? Is he guilty or not? A man by the name of uh, what's his name? Hagee? Jack Hagee, who is a former police officer, all right? Admitted to some wild stuff that you wouldn't even believe. Um, Jewish family was kicked off of a flight for having extremely offensive body odor. It's one of those things. I'd like to share it with y'all on the broadcast, but I'm not going to. Okay, because it's not that important, but isn't that wild? Have you ever heard of a situation like that? I've never heard of a situation like that. Although I'm sure it happens, it just does not make the news. All right, these guys are insufferable, and they look greasy, and they look like they smell a certain kind of way. All right, these guys are all slightly damp and sweaty for some reason. These guys, they're all in the news, and they're gonna stay in the news till your dying days. These people are gonna be in the news, and nobody will be able to tell you why. All right, they're not attractive. It's as though you took the crafts to Saved by the Bell and you hit them all with ugly sticks with confetti full of nerdiness. All right, nerd confetti all over them. Ugly nerds is what we're looking at right here. Nobody cares. Like, they want you to care. All right. FD engineer, he tried to take sick leave before failing a drug test, and he's in trouble again. I'm not really gonna hate on him for that. I don't think it should make the news, but that's one of those things that, it makes the news. Why Texans don't want any more Californians? That's not really news, but I think it's kind of funny, and I do know a lot of Californians who are decent people, all right, but we really honestly do not want any more Californians at all, and we probably, most of us don't want Corona either. Delete it. All right, 36 immigrants. We're gonna hold on to this one. This is gonna be part of the broadcast, but we're gonna have a Phil to the Tippy Top broadcast tonight. It's gonna be unbelievable. All right, but we're gonna have to at least touch upon 36 immigrants found concealed inside Texas dump truck. Let's just say that, obviously it happens regular. That's daily type business that happens, and typically they're not caught and they're not found or whatever. Who knows what happens to some of these people? All right, but sometimes it happens where dozens and dozens of people die. All right, and sometimes their dead bodies get found. Sometimes they don't. But it's an interesting situation. Absurdistan. I don't even know if you can say these words, but this kind of person released from jail because he now identifies as a she. That is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun, but that's actually trending where dudes are like, oh, I'm a lady now. I go to the lady jail. And some people are entertaining them on that. And we're not going to get into that too much, obviously. But we are going to acknowledge it. Meanwhile, we got this lady right here. She looks bizarre, and I know it's an opinion. He looks bizarre, and that's an opinion. But I think that you agree. I feel like you probably do. Bizarre looking people vouching for each other's perversion. More than likely, right? They both are aware of each other's perversion, but they get deleted. Minnie Mouse performer beats up security guard in a viral video. That's pretty awesome. I'll let you guess as to how that happened, all right? And yes, it is exactly what you were going to guess. Proxy InfoWars YouTube videos attracted. See, we're going to hold on to that, all right? Because that's a victory. That's a trophy for us right here, all right? There's people, we're so bad that they can't not talk about us, basically. And not say me, because that wasn't me, all right? But I'm just saying we know people who they can't stop talking about, all right? There's trolls on the internet. Sometimes I look at their comments. Sometimes I go to videos and I don't even watch the videos. I just look at the comments because they're wild, all right? But we're going to delete them. Columbine High School, we're going to talk a little bit about that probably. I don't know how much detail, but I'm investigating that currently. It's going to be one of the cases that we, investigate over time. All right, we're gonna hold on to that right now. All right, University Gift Shop. We already discussed this. They look. All right. Some people are just listening to it, so I'm going to read out. A University Gift Shop hung historical black figures from a tree-like display, and that's exactly what we're looking at visibly, right? I don't feel like it organically happened. I'm pretty sure of it. I'll bet everything. Uh, I'll bet everything on it. Everything. I'll bet everything on it, right? That's fake. So, but we're gonna delete it because I don't even believe it. All right, this lady right here. You probably already know how I feel about. I think her name is Brenda Snipes, all right, if I'm not mistaken, but I won't never forget this face anywhere, all right? That's the face of stealing elections. Most of the elections are, in fact, stolen on a local level, especially if you live in a Democrat city, and pretty much that is the rule all across the nation. Rampant criminality every time there's an election. They got this stuff. I don't care about that. Coronavirus evacuees to San Antonio. Yes, yes, indeed. We're going to get our fair share of coronavirus victims, and maybe, hopefully, we don't get also to be a victim. San Antonio officials tell residents not to panic over the diseases that are being imported into San Antonio. You can feed a roach, and you can name the roach after your ex-girlfriend if in fact you are a loser, or vice versa, your boyfriend if you are a loser. State settles with San Antonio man accused. I don't care about that. Pothole thing. I don't care about that. Portland into matchup with San Antonio. What in the world? Oh, that's probably talking about basketball. That's dumb, and we're gonna delete that. All right. So many screenshots. And I don't even get paid, y'all. Big Spring votes to become sanctuary for the unborn. Shout outs to them. And the city's doing that. Shout outs to them. See, we got last day to register to vote. Sparking passion. More girls enrolled. Oh, yeah, we're talking about that. We're actually talking about, and it's a random thing. Girls welding, taking welding classes in Big Spring, Texas, a town you never heard of before, but it made the news in Big Spring, and it got us to talking about a certain lady, a lady who inspired this whole movement. And I don't even think she's mentioned in the article, but I know that she inspired this. I know for a fact that she did. All right. Anyways, it's a Cinderella story, and I know it doesn't sound appealing at all to you right now, but we're actually going to discuss it later. And it involves a lady, a very curious kind of lady. All right. Very, very curious. All right. I think you'll find her kind of unique in a way, but very typical in other ways, and very interesting. And I'm not going to dog on that lady or bully that lady at all, but it's going to be very interesting. All right, and I know that it doesn't make sense right now. You don't know what I'm talking about, but we'll bring it up later. All right, a lady who's a welder. And that sounds bizarre, whatever, but there's some more bizarre things about her, trust me. And not in a bad way, but it's just very curious. Anyways, millions of rabies infected dogs. We already discussed this being slaughtered, and I don't believe it. I don't tend to believe it, but this is in DailyMail.com. Are they making it up? What kind of fake news should you be allowed to make this sort of fake news and distribute it? All right, is that not fear mongering? Is that not being I forget what's the word they use for that, but you're being racist on people of Cambodia. How's it? Jelaine Maxwell asked yoga guru to smell the money. We gotta get to the bottom of that just because I don't even know what that means, right? We'll say that for later, but we gotta get to the bottom, all right? We got Jose Lopez. Oh, I know a guy named Jose Lopez, and I thought that that was funny. I don't know what it means. All right, town hall, your voice, the future. I would say get into local politics. I know it's not appealing to a lot of people, but at the same time, that is where you gain and lose power as a citizen of America. This is actually the lady, y'all. I forgot that I made a screenshot. I got two people up in the building. Trust me, I noticed. And if you want to leave a comment, I'll touch upon whatever it is you're talking about before we get on out of here. It's not going to be a long broadcast. Short broadcast, but I was running through screenshots, and I'm gonna delete most of them. Right? The majority of them are going to get deleted, and some of them we're going to talk about tonight on the live stream. That's what I'm going to do. This is what I do, yeah, without talking to myself, right? But I thought I would live stream it just to get a shout out to whoever's around and tell them to get a job, dude. It's like Friday during the day. It's like, you get a job already. I mean, I know I'm not at my work. All right, but anyways, this lady, we're going to talk about this lady, and not for no reason. I'm just saying it's a very curious situation. I think we're getting a lot of insight in on it because I just been very recently investigating it and looking more into it. We're going to take a look into this lady. This lady right here, and it's going to be a lot to be said about this lady. I've met this lady personally a number of times, and it's very interesting. This is actually her Facebook, if you wanted to check it out. For whatever reason, I mean, you're like bored and you're not at your job right now. So later on today, if you wanted to, you can go on Facebook, look it up. Ray Ripple, it's an artist, and you'll kind of get an idea of what the heck it is we're looking at, all right? And trust me, it's going to be exciting. Did Michelle Obama fall for divorce after Barack Obama admitted he was gay, all right? We're not going to talk about this on the broadcast. But look at it. Check it out, Snopes.com. I mean, we already know about Snopes. We already know what they do, right? I don't really have to explain to you what they do, right? But they're doing it so hard. Who in the world said that this was happening? Nobody. Nobody did. So now they're just taking what nobody said and they're... Can you imagine that's your job? You took what nobody said and you called them a liar? Even though literally nobody said this except for some doddering like homeless person wandering down the street. Nobody said this, and you're like, oh, this is fake news, this thing that we heard. That's my job, that's what I do. Alright. But yeah, we get deleted. Hog hung a hog hung damn, dude, I'm not gonna get past this. Hog hung next to no hunting sign, sends message loud and clear. That looks like a local news type thing. Someone was putting a very threatening dead body of a pig by a no hunting sign. Basically, they're sending their own message, right? But it's not going to be a part of the broadcast. On Facebook, anti-vaxxers urge the mom. This is 100% fake news, all right? I'm not going to read it, and I don't want to read it, right? I just don't want to read it and stuff. You already see it from the headline that they're accusing anti-vaxxers online, something that I don't even really think it exists. And I know I'm controversial, but I don't think they exist, that anti-vaxxers are not a real thing that exists. All right, but they're accusing things of that don't exist, of convincing some mom to go all willy-nilly and quote like supposedly kill her child by not giving her child medication or some sort of stuff. It's not, it wouldn't be newsworthy. It's not a real thing, right? But let's see if Snopes talks about that. We're going to delete that. But it's ridiculous. It's damn ridiculous, and people get paid for that. Anyways, this guy did an interesting thing. We might keep it for tonight, but we'll only touch upon it briefly. It's just kind of interesting. This man, he, quote, burned $1 million in cash. It was Canadian cash, so it's a little bit less. It's actually like 775, $750,000 in U.S. money, right? Still, that's a lot, right? So he's going through a divorce, and his ex-wife is obviously, as typical, is going to try and get you for every nickel and dime that she can, and take every last possible thing she can, and she's going to have attorneys that obviously are going to support her in the matter, and just anything she can, right? And I don't know their situation. He might be a bad guy. She might be a bad lady. I don't know these people. But he went ahead and he said, oh, man, I took that. He sold some properties and stuff, right, that she's trying to get. Sold them, which may or may not be illegal. He went, but he tried it anyways. He sold the properties, got all sort of money for it, all this money. And then he withdrew all the money to the tune of $1 million Canadian dollars. And he, quote, took it somewhere and burned all of it. Right? And of course, as you would imagine, there's no witnesses to this. First of all, yeah, obviously it's going to be a crime. That's a crime. Everybody knows that's a crime. You can't destroy money like that. That's a crime. And so he admits that to the judge. He's like, dude, I took $1 million. I totally burnt it up in the woods. So screw y'all and screw her. That's kind of illegal, right? So it's a weird situation. I don't know how it's going to evolve, but the way it sits now is that the judge, there's a penalty that you get for destroying money, right? But apparently it's something like you get 30 days in jail or something like that. So I don't know if it's going to work out this way, but it looks like he wanted to go to jail for 30 days and pretend to burn $1 million. Meanwhile, his wife doesn't get much of anything. Later on, he'll take the $1 million and run off with it, and that's about it. And that's what he's going to try to do. I don't know if he's going to accomplish it, but God bless him for trying. I don't know who's the good person in this story, right? And don't expect me to know who's the good person. I just thought it was funny. It was very interesting that I mean, you could see the logic in what he's trying to do. Exclusive mother says school district called police. Oh man, see, this is definitely going to be part of the broadcast. We could talk about it to no end, and certainly we will, all right? But check this out. You see the headline. We're just about done. We're about to wrap it up, you guys. We're winding it down because I actually have to go to sleep and stuff like that. It's been a pleasure, but maybe just a few more minutes and stuff. We're getting down to the end of it, and these ones we're definitely going to talk about on the broadcast, all right? To include this one right here that we're looking at, exclusive. Mother says school district called police after 6-year-old daughter with with Down syndrome, and it's not funny, but it is funny that you call the police on a 6-year-old little girl with Down syndrome who pretended to shoot teacher with a finger gun. That's right. It's like, dude, and I got this off of Drudge, and the thing is, on Drudge, it was just like 6-year-old does a finger gun, and the teacher calls the police. And so I clicked on it. I was like, that's amazing. That's amazing that happened. So I clicked on it, didn't even realize the little girl has Down syndrome. Right? And nobody's making fun of her here. I don't know if you find that funny or something. It's not. People are people, and so are Down syndrome people. They have Down syndrome, and they are people. And it's a little 6-year-old girl with Down syndrome, and she does a finger. And she does a finger gun, and the police get called. That's because of policy, and that's what I want to stress. One of my mantras. It's been a mantra for a long time. Some people love policy, but the thing is, policy will get you killed. In fact, policy will put the Nazis in power and stuff. Policy is actually a terrible thing, a nightmarish thing. I mean, it's good to have policy when it makes sense, right? But the police was called on a 6-year-old girl with Down syndrome for doing a finger gun and saying, I shoot you. That is actually a quote in the article, and we're going to go over it later tonight. That's going to be 8:30, around there, 8:30 Central Standard Time, live broadcast tonight. She said, I shoot you with her finger guns, and the police got called. Anyways, this is terrible. Everything's terrible, but if you're looking at we'll talk about the visual tonight. There's a visual on the screen right now, in case you don't know. Universities are a terrible nightmare place in which most people come out like in a worse position, but some people come out on top, typically through networking and having a career field. Meanwhile, the rest of it is about ultimate perversion, and it's actually now what all the classes are about, and taking your money and giving you a degree and then promising you free stuff from the government. I'm the sheriff. Who are you? This guy, he had an interesting situation. We may or may not talk about it. I'm going to keep it for right now. But he came across a guy who is in he's the sheriff of Oakland, right? Oakland County. this guy, and this is breaking news. He's the sheriff, and he saw a guy impersonating one of his deputies, all up in a vehicle that was supposed made to look like a deputy vehicle, to include the lights and all the accoutrement and everything, to include everything that you would expect on the inside of a police vehicle, right? Down to the little details, everything. All right. So he came across the guy, and arrested the guy in there. And the news are like, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Like why would this guy have a thing? Isn't that wild and wacky? Why does has he been pulling people over and stuff? The thing is, my first instinct when you find somebody trying to impersonate, for example, your sheriff deputies, and they have every last detail looked after on their vehicle and everything. They got the uniform, they got everything, and they're meant to look like they work for you, but they don't. That is a sign of something very, very sinister happening, and something very, very bad is going to come of that if you just dig a little bit deeper. And maybe they will, maybe they won't, but we'll keep an eye on that. Pizza set a record number of Americans to the ER, y'all. I mean, as far as all the pandemics, they don't hardly mention the pizza pandemic all across America. Musical shenanigans. These are actually a couple of people who I really enjoy musically. We might talk about them. But that's the end of the screenshots, y'all. We made it through. Which is good because I was running all out of breath and I'm getting tired. I'm going to go ahead and wind it down, and I'm going to sleep because this is a time in which I sleep at. All right, maybe you should go get a job or something like that, or maybe just even think about it. All right, becoming a contributing member to society. I don't know if maybe you're Bart Fine and stuff, because Bart Fine does all sort of, he lives a certain kind of way and I admire it and stuff. All right, I don't know who's listening to this, but shout out to Barfine. Shout out to whoever it is who you are listening to this. And maybe you'll catch me tonight. I don't know, maybe you're across the world and you'll be all sleeping. But we're going to be on tonight, 8:30ish Central Standard Time. That's Texas. That's the United States of America. All right, just so that you know. And we're going to be in full effect. We're going to talk about some of this stuff in great detail. And actually, gosh, we might only touch upon this sort of stuff briefly, because here's what I plan to do tonight. All right, I just want to let you know before I get on out of here. I plan to do a little bit more research before I pass out and find out the developments on many. We got so many different cases that we've been following that I know that the people like who come to these channels, y'all already are familiar. You know exactly what I'm talking about. There's cases we've been following, many different various cases, all very interesting. There's going to be developments on all of them, and we're going to have to discuss them because we got to stay with these events. We got to stay with these situations, these news items, because the reason, well, there's many reasons, but news in general is obsolete. You already know it. We know it's painfully obvious. For lots of reasons, they lie. They're damn liars, and they're covering up things, and it's terrible and it's obvious. But also their style is stupid, and it will never bring about awareness or justice. In fact, it'll do the exact opposite. What it'll bring about is fear and depression, and everybody knows it. It's scientifically proven that that's exactly what it does, and there's no other point to it. Okay, the reason why we're different, we're talking about the same things. In fact, we're talking about all the stuff that they won't talk about on the news, all right? Or they'll cover it up, or they'll make it a little thing and they'll brush it off. All right, we're talking about all the sort of wild things. And not only that, the news does not stop when you hear the headlines, when you see them in the newspapers or whatever that used to exist. That's not where the news stops. In fact, it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, and it just doesn't stop. And there's always developments. It's always going to be a ripple in time in which you can ride that wave to fruition and find all sort of devastating effects from what people think is innocuous. And sometimes people think, oh, what's wrong with this? Well, the thing is, what's wrong with it is that typically it leads, bad things will lead to devastating outcomes. The sort of things that we follow, and good things will lead to absolutely glorious outcomes for the whole world to see. You know, for example, our man Donald Trump, right? It's just we're not gonna talk about it very much, but the rhetoric alone. All right, sometimes you sit on top of a mountain and you're a shining beacon of hope for everybody else. All right. Anyways, February the 7th, 2020, and I believe in you. Won't you be my co-host tonight? Something like that. Won't you? Anyways, I'll holler at you a little bit later, and I'm gonna pass out. Let's see what. Stop this. Stop it. I'm gonna stop it.